You drooled on me, the deep voice said, low but kind. Her eyes flew open. She blinked fast, trying to place where she was, the gentle hum of the plane, the soft leather seat, and then the broad camouflage shoulder beneath her cheek. Her heart seized. "Oh my God, I am so sorry," she gasped, scrambling upright, mortified. The man didn't flinch. His expression was calm, even amused. "Don't worry," he said, straightening slightly in his seat. "You must have been really tired." She laughed nervously, brushing her blonde hair behind her ear. "I didn't mean to. I didn't even realize I fell asleep on you." The gold name tag on his chest read, U.S. SEAL. He wasn't just any soldier. She'd accidentally used a Navy SEAL as a human pillow. The people in the row behind her chuckled softly. Someone muttered, "Lucky girl," under their breath. Her cheeks flamed red. For the next few minutes, she sat rigid, staring out the window. But then she stole a glance at him. He hadn't touched his drink. His hands were folded over his lap. Still, there was a certain tension in his jaw, like he was 1,000 miles away, maybe even back on some battlefield. That's when she whispered, "Are you coming home or heading out?" He looked at her, surprised by the question. "Coming home," he said, "for the first time in 16 months. Her breath caught. "Wow. Did anyone know you're on the way?" He shook his head. "Not really. My brother does. But I didn't want a big thing." His voice was steady, but she could feel it. The heaviness behind his words, the weight of things seen and survived. Something shifted between them. The silence wasn't awkward anymore. It was full of unspoken understanding. He asked her name. She told him. Rachel. She worked in event planning, traveled a lot, but suddenly her job felt small, almost silly next to the man who had probably seen life and death in the same hour. And yet, he didn't act superior. In fact, he listened to her with such focus, like her stories mattered. She found herself saying things she hadn't told anyone in years, about losing her dad young, about how planes made her feel both brave and scared, suspended between places and choices. He smiled then. "You remind me of my sister," he said. "She always talks like that. Poetic, even about airports." Rachel laughed, but his eyes clouded just a bit. "She passed," he added quietly. 2 years ago. Car accident. I was deployed. Couldn't come home in time." Silence again. But this time it was sacred. She didn't know what to say, so she just reached over and for a moment let her fingers gently rest on his. It wasn't romantic. It was human. The plane dipped, preparing to land. She suddenly didn't want the flight to end. She turned to him. "You said your brother knows. Is he picking you up?" He nodded. "Yeah, he's bringing someone too. My nephew. He was a baby when I left. He's walking now." She smiled. "That's beautiful." But then something happened. As passengers gathered their bags, the man in the row across from them, a guy in a suit, loud and impatient, looked over and scoffed. "Figures. Guy in uniform gets all the attention." The air froze. Rachel turned sharply. "Excuse me?" The man smirked. "Please." You leaned on him like he's some hero or something. He just sits in a plane like the rest of us. She saw the SEAL's hands tighten on his backpack strap, but he didn't speak. Rachel did. "He's not just some guy in uniform. He missed his sister's funeral while defending people like you," she snapped. "He's meeting his nephew for the first time. You sit in a suit and complain. He sat in sand and carried brothers on his back." The man paled. The SEAL looked stunned. "You didn't have to." "No," she said softly, standing up. "You shouldn't have to explain yourself." As they exited the plane, the crowd had changed. There were nods, quiet handshakes, a pat on the shoulder from an older man. Even a flight attendant whispered, "Thank you for your service, sir." And then at the gate, a boy came running. "Uncle Chris!" The SEAL dropped to one knee, arms wide, eyes wet. Rachel watched. Hands over her mouth. A woman beside her sniffled. "That's the realest thing I've seen all year." He looked up. Their eyes met. He mouthed, "Thank you." Rachel smiled and whispered back, "No, thank you." Because sometimes a story begins with a nap. and ends in a moment that wakes us all up. Never underestimate quiet strength. Behind every uniform is a human heart, full of sacrifice, loss, and love. Sometimes all it takes is a little kindness to remind them they're seen. Before we wrap up, tell us in the comments where you're watching from. If this story moved you, hit that like button, share your thoughts, and subscribe to be part of this growing community of dreamers and doers. Your next life-changing story might be just one click away.